Welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. The Pharmacy Leaders Podcast is a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, with interviews and advice on building your professional network, brand, and a purposeful second income from students, residents, and innovative professionals.
Hey, welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast. I am in Indianapolis, Indiana for PTEC, Pharmacy Technician Educators Council 2018, and right now I am with Kevin Hope from freece.com. He just got off the main stage, and I just wanted to have a talk with him. So welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast.
Great. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Well, you were talking about online pharmacology, or not online pharmacology, but online teaching, some principles and practice. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the numbers that you covered in terms of how many people are online, and then success rates between somebody who starts online and then someone who's already been in an online class?
Yes, absolutely, Tony. We are seeing on a national basis a lot more attention given to online programs. About 1 in 3 students that come into a college program now will take at least one online course over the course of their time there at the college. So we're seeing a lot more students too come in to programs online exclusively. Almost half of students that are interviewed who have taken online courses now are saying that their courses are completely online. And as far as retention rates, that's been a big concern, and that's because I think, Tony, a lot of online coursework requires a lot of reading. It requires a lot of self-motivation on the student's part, and we're seeing retention rates about 55%, where they're about 77% for traditional coursework. So definitely have to kind of consider whether a student is the right option, the right fit for the online class before they begin something of that nature.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about who would be good for an online class. I know sometimes people take an online class because they think it's easier, but I think it's actually a little bit harder in that you have to have more self-development or be able to make sure that you do things on your own. So first of all, what about the tactic that some students use to maybe think, well, it's going to be easier because it's online?
Yeah, and I would agree with your assessment that it is in most cases more difficult as an online course. I think the benefit and kind of the ideal student is someone who is very self-motivated and just doesn't have the time or the flexibility to be in class at the times that they're offered. That is really kind of the primary student that would be successful in an educational program, is one who's very self-motivated, would otherwise probably be in class, but just for whatever reason, whether it's work or family, is unable to do so.
Okay, so a lot of pharmacy students or pre-pharmacy students will take classes and they'll think, all right, well, I'm just going to take some online, some in class. How do you recognize, or how do you figure out if somebody is a good fit for the online class?
Again, it really requires an assessment of that individual. If it's someone who, and you can ask, hey, or have you had experience doing this before? Do you enjoy exercises in class where you're given large amounts of material to read, to go through kind of excess? Is that something that you feel like you could be successful with? And if the answer is no, then the traditional live setting is probably the better option for those students. But if the answer is yes, and the student needs flexibility, and they're able to take courses at midnight if they need to, then it could be a very good fit.
Okay. Well, I know a lot of students want to get into pharmacy or get into health professions, but they're not sure if pharmacy technician path is for them. They look at maybe a program and they say, wow, that's a little bit too long for me, or online would be better. Can you tell me a little bit about how freece has created an online program for the pharmacy technician?
Sure, Tony, and thank you. We have an excellent program that we put together called our Pharmacy Technician Boot Camp. And Pharmacy Technician Boot Camp was designed to be a really comprehensive review kind of for students who are thinking about taking the national certification exams, for one, to give them the materials that they need to be successful on those exams, but also to give individuals an idea of what pharmacy technology is all about and whether or not that's something that they would enjoy. And it's something that's offered at a very low cost, and it's something that is certainly accessible to many. And we have a program that's we have an $86 membership that includes unlimited CE for an entire year, and then our pharmacy technician boot camp, which is an additional 22 hours of continuing education credits, is offered at $219. And so again, a great tool for students or anybody looking to take those national certification exams. Again, get one last push in. Or before taking those exams to help prepare, or just for individuals who are kind of seeking, like, hey, is this going to be a good fit for me? Would this be something that I would be willing or would like to put more time into, or even go into one of these more formal accredited programs?
Sure. Okay, well, tell me a little bit about what would actually happen on a day-to-day basis. So when somebody says online, that may be a little confusing to somebody who's new to it. Could you tell me maybe, in the first week, what would they be doing? Is there a certain number of weeks that it lasts? Is it self-paced? How exactly is it set up?
Our course is set up to be completed over 11 weeks. It's divided into 11 modules and kind of so what the expectations would be for that week. But we realize that students have different availabilities. Some students may be able to only do 30 minutes a week. And so we appreciate that. And so it's set up for 11 weeks, but we allow students up to a year to complete the program if they need to. So there are individual expectations, this is what we want to have completed to complete this module. And the students can assess those modules online 24/7. It's all home study webcast. And then they answer multiple choice questions, which are set up to kind of test the information that would be applicable for these national exams. So the same domains and the topics that are going to be covered on these exams. So our end goal is to help the students feel a lot more comfortable going into those exams than they otherwise might be.
And so in terms of getting set up for the exam, so they've taken the 11 weeks, what's their next step right after that 11 weeks is over?
We recommend registering for that exam right away. And the reason for that is our program is really designed, it's a very condensed format, and it covers a lot of key information that students have had if they've been in a formal education program over the course of a year, perhaps a year and a half, and it does it in 11 weeks. And so we feel like the sooner that a student can get in after completing the program, the better or more successful they're going to be. Because as you know, the more time that elapses after a student has been out of class, the less that they're going to remember.
Okay. All right. Well, I've asked you a couple of questions. Is there anything you wanted to make sure that everybody gets? And then if we could get your contact information, let me know how, or let the listeners know how they can reach you if they're interested in the class.
Sure, absolutely. Again, my name is Kevin Hope, and I'm with freece.com, and we are located online at just that web address, freece.com. And my email address is kevin, Kevin, Hope, Hope, at freece.com. And we offer continuing education for both pharmacists and for pharmacy technicians, and it is a fantastic resource, especially if your state requires live CE. We have lots of live CE opportunities, really one of the leading companies in that industry. And so I would encourage you to check us out and see what we have to offer for both pharmacists and technicians alike.
Thanks for being on the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast.
Thank you, Tony.
Support for this episode comes from the audiobook Memorizing Pharmacology, a relaxed approach. With over 9,000 sales in the United States, United Kingdom, and Australia, it's the go-to resource to ease the pharmacology challenge. Available on Audible, iTunes, and Amazon.com, in print, ebook, and audiobook. Thank you for listening to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. Be sure to share the show with the hashtag #PharmacyLeaders.